911, what is your emergency? Yeah, hi, this is going to sound kind of strange, but there's a man stumbling around in circles in my front yard. Could you repeat that, sir? He looks sick, or lost, or drunk, or something. I just woke up to get a glass of water and heard snow crunching around underneath my front window, so I peeked out. I'm looking at him now. He's about 10 yards away from my window. Something's not right. What is your address, sir? 1617 Quarry Lane in Pinella Pass. I'm going to send a squad car your way, but that's quite a ways out. Are you alone in your house, sir? Yes, I'm alone. Can you confirm that all of your doors and windows are locked? Stay on the phone with me. I know that my front is definitely locked, but I'll go check my back door again really quick. I appreciate your help, by the way. I know this is kind of strange, but I really hope that... Sir, are you still there? He's still in the yard, but what the fuck? He's upside down. Sir, stay on with me. What is happening? He's staring right at me, but he's standing on his hands now. He's perfectly still, staring straight at me. He's doing a handstand and he's smiling at me and not moving. He's doing a handstand, sir. I don't know how yeah, he's facing me and standing on his hands, and he's got this huge smile, and he's perfectly still. What the fuck? Please get someone out here now. Sir, I need you to remain calm. I've put out the call and an officer is on his way. His teeth are so huge. What the fuck? Please help me. Sir, I want you to try and keep an eye on him, but make sure your back door is locked again. We need to make sure all possible access points are secured. Can you talk me through and confirm that your back door is locked? Okay, I'm walking backwards now and keeping him in my sight. My hand is on the back doorknob now. It's locked. I need to check the deadbolt, so I'm going to take my eyes off of him for a split second. All right, sir. Help is on the way. Just stay on the phone with me. Everything's going to be all right. Sir? Sir? Are you still there? His face. It's up against the glass. Sir, I need you to speak up. What is happening? I looked away for a split second, and now, his face. It's pressed up against my front window. His teeth are huge and he's still smiling. There's no color in his eyes. Jesus, please help me. Why won't it just fucking move? Sir, I need you to go to the nearest room and lock yourself inside of it. Do you have a basement or a bedroom that you can lock yourself in? He won't stop staring. He's going to hurt me. Sir, I need you to listen to me. Lock yourself somewhere safe until the officer arrives at your house. Can you hear me? Yes, yes. I'm going to lock myself in my room. And you're positive that you're alone in your house, correct? Yes, I'm alone in the house. Wait a moment. He's moving. He's shaking his head. He's telling me no. He can hear us. He's telling me I'm not alone. Sir, are you still there? I heard a loud noise. Is everything all right? Sir, this is very urgent, so I'll get right to it. I pulled some strings with my colleagues in the department, and I was able to obtain a copy of the police report that the officer filed in regards to the call 2 weeks ago. I've got to be extremely careful about covering up the officer's personal information. The investigation is ongoing, and there's been some weird stuff happening. You'll see what I mean below. The police and news departments are in a frenzy trying to keep the details quiet for now, and there is a palpable feeling of uneasiness circulating around town. If my bosses find out that I'm posting this all here and I lose my job, so be it. This is the only official statement being released to the public tomorrow morning. Ashland Police Department advises all homes and businesses within 5 miles of 1617 Quarry Lane, Pinella Pass, to secure all doors and windows by any extra security measures available. Effective immediately, a curfew is in effect for all citizens in the city of Ashland. All persons found on the streets after sundown will be held and questioned in regards to suspicious cult activity. A police barrier has been placed around the perimeter of the quarry in northwest Ashland. No one is to enter this restricted zone until further notice. Any and all persons found attempting to enter this restricted zone will be subdued on sight. Officers have been ordered to use force at their own discretion. There will be no exceptions. And here is the transcript of the actual police report filed by the officer that arrived on the scene. I don't know how my friend got a copy of this. Honestly, I don't want to know. Begin report. Officer Namba redacted. Approached the premises of 1617 Pinella Pass at 4:37 a.m. on 9th February 2015 in response to a 911 dispatch report of a suspicious person. The officer immediately noted that there were no lights on in the house, and there was no response after the officer repeatedly knocked on the door while identifying himself. Officer Namdav redacted, then noticed a series of erratic footprints and handprints in the snow leading up to the home's bay window. Officer Namdav redacted, noted no evidence of forced entry into the home through the bay window. Upon examining the rear of the house, Officer Namdar redacted, noted another set of footprints originating from the edge of the quarry, approximately 20 yards from the house, and leading directly towards the back of the house. The prints were spaced extraordinarily far apart, indicating that this individual was able to cover an immense amount of ground in relatively few strides. The officer then noted a series of marks, presumed to be hand and footprints, leading directly up the aluminum siding of the house and ending immediately under an attic window on the 3rd floor. The officer noted that the attic window appeared to have been broken into from the outside. There were no ladders or cables visible which could have assisted in the invader in reaching the 3rd-story window. Author's note: on the copy of the report that I have, the sergeant of our police department circled this section and wrote in the margin, "What the hell? Investigation and verification needed immediately." Upon completion of the officer's survey and his inability to enter the house without a lawful warrant, Officer Namshar redacted began driving away in his squad car at approximately 4:43 a.m. As he was calling the station to report his findings, he claims to have witnessed several pale, smiling faces appear in every window of the house, each wearing an expression of what he later described as eager and amused curiosity. End report. As I said, the city issued curfews, and information about the restricted zones will be announced tomorrow. But I thought I would alert everyone here first. As far as I know, the exact details of the report are being held in confidentiality because, as you can see, there are some unsettling things surrounding this entire incident. Author's note: as I was uploading all this information, Another co-worker friend of mine from the emergency dispatch staff called me to inform me that the officer that was called to the scene has gone missing. You will definitely hear about that tomorrow if you live anywhere near the area. Police units from nearby counties are being brought in to assist with the search. I say this as a dispatcher. Please take these ordinances seriously and report any suspicious findings to the authorities. According to my friend, the officer's wife was the last person to have seen him. Apparently, as he was leaving their home, he muttered something about wanting to check out that house again. Story 2. I work in the Greenbrier County Sheriff's Office. I have been tasked with digitalizing our old transcripts into our new state database. As I was going through the reams of boxes stored out back, cataloging our transcripts by date, this particular one from '94 caught my eye for how inexplicable it seemed. Apparently, the sheriff at the time had the transcript buried. I've decided to disembalm it. The following is a transcript of the Jane Heaster 911 emergency call to the Greenbrier County Sheriff's Office. Dispatch, 911, what's your emergency? Jane, there's someone outside standing at my front door. Dispatch, okay, ma'am, do you know this person? Is it a man or a woman? Jane, no, I don't, and a man, I think. Dispatch, is he trying to break in? Jane, no, I don't know. I heard him knocking, and then there was a flashlight, I think, shining through my window. He's just standing there, muttering to himself, saying something I can't quite hear. Dispatch, okay, ma'am, please calm down. What's your name? Jane. Jane. Dispatch, Jane. Jane. Heaster. Dispatch, Miss Heaster, what's your address? Jane. Redacted. Dispatch, sorry. Did you say redacted? Jane. Yes. Dispatch, right. Heavy rapping can be heard in the background along with a muffled male voice. Jane, in a hushed tone, sobbing. Leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Dispatch, Jane, listen to me. I've dispatched an officer to your address. Where are you now? Jane, I'm upstairs in the bedroom. I've kept the lights off. Oh my God. Dispatch, Jane? Ma'am, what happened? Are you there? Jane, oh fuck. Oh my God. He saw me. Dispatch, what? Jane, he saw me. He saw me looking through the window. The same distant voice. Open the door. Heavy rapping can be heard in the background. Jane, shouting, leave me alone. Dispatch, Jane, what's happening? Jane, leave me alone. Dispatch, stay on the line with me, Jane, okay? The officer should be there any moment now. Jane, why are you here? Why? The sound of a door being violently broken can be heard. Unknown male, where are you? Jane, just go away, please, go away. Dispatch, Jane, ma'am, Jane, incomprehensible screaming. The line is terminated. Approximately 3 minutes after the call with Jane was terminated. Officer, Colton 12, Code 11. Dispatch, go ahead, officer. What's my RP again? Dispatch, party of Jane Heaster, female, unknown. Physical and age address redacted. An officer. And are we sure she said she lived at redacted? Dispatch. Correct. Officer. Right, well, it's as I thought then. There's nothing here. I've had a look through the windows, but the house is derelict. It's been abandoned longer than I've been alive. Heck, I'm pretty sure I had my first kiss here. Dispatch. Okay. Can you code 13 for a walk-in report? Dispatch. Colton. Heavy rapping can be heard in the background. Officer. Distant voice. Hello? Do you need help? Dispatch. Colton. Officer. I just saw someone in the window. I can hear them screaming. I'm going to break down the door. Sem Story 3. I've been a 911 dispatcher for 12 years, the last 7 on the graveyard shift. You think you've heard it all after that long? The drunks, the domestics, the panicked fumbling for words after a car crash. It all becomes a kind of white noise, a rhythm of human misery you learn to navigate without letting it touch you. You have to. It's the only way to stay sane. My district is a sprawling, sleepy county that dies after 10 p.m. It's mostly soccer moms and retirees. The worst we usually get on a weeknight is a noise complaint or a teenager who's had too much to drink at a bonfire. The job, for me, had become a cycle of caffeine, fluorescent lights, and the low, constant hum of computer servers. I was burned out, deeply, existentially tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. The calls were just blips on a screen, voices to be processed, categorized, and dispatched. I was a human switchboard for other people's worst days. The first call came on a Tuesday, about 3 months ago. It was 2:47 a.m., the deadest hour of the deadest night. The line lit up on my console, but not in the usual way. It wasn't a cell call with a GPS ping or a landline with a registered address. It was just a raw signal designated as unregistered VoIP. Not unheard of, but rare. I clicked it open. 911, what is your emergency? Static, a thick, wet sound like listening to the radio underwater. It crackled and popped, and underneath it, I could just barely make out a sound. A whisper. Hello? Can you hear me? It was a child's voice. A boy, I thought. Maybe 7 or 8. He sounded like he was trying to talk without moving his lips. This is 911, I repeated, my voice a little louder, a little clearer. I can barely hear you. What is your emergency? The static swelled, almost swallowing his voice whole. He's back. The man in the mask is back. A chill, cold and sharp, went down my spine. It was a professional chill, the one that tells you this is real. This isn't a prank. Okay, son, where are you? I need an address. Hurting mommy, the whisper came again, breaking with a sob. The static sounded like a swarm of angry insects now. Daddy's asleep on the floor. He won't wake up. Son, I need you to tell me where you are. I can't send help if I don't know where you are. My fingers were flying across the keyboard, trying to get a trace, but the system was kicking back errors. No location data, no subscriber info, nothing. The old house, he whispered, his voice fading. At the end of the road, please. Then the line went dead. Not a click, not a hang-up. It just ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a line of static and terror, and the next it was just a dead channel. Even without an address, the old house at the end of the road was enough. Out on the western edge of the county, there's a long, unpaved road that just sort of peters out into the woods, and at the end of it, there's one house, a big derelict Victorian thing that's been empty for as long as anyone can remember. It was a local legend, the kind of place kids dared each other to spend a night in. I dispatched a patrol car. My senior officer, a guy who's been on the force since before I was born, came back over the radio about 15 minutes later. His voice was flat, laced with the kind of annoyance reserved for rookies and time-wasters. Dispatch, car 12 here. The property is secure. No signs of forced entry. Place is boarded up tighter than a drum. There's nobody here. Hasn't been for 50 years by the looks of it. 10-4, car 12, say, I said, my own voice betraying none of my confusion. Are you sure? The caller was a child. He said his family was being attacked. There was a sigh over the radio. Listen, the dust on the porch is an inch thick. The boards on the windows are gray and rotted. If someone's in there, they're a ghost. We're clearing the call. Tell whoever's playing games to knock it off. I logged it as unfounded and tried to put it out of my mind. A prank, a sophisticated one, maybe, using some kind of voice changer and a VoIP spoofer. Kids these days. I was too tired to care. A week later, at 2:47 a.m., the same line lit up. The same static, the same terrified, whispering voice. He's in the house. I can hear him walking. This time I felt a knot of ice form in my stomach. Son, is this the same caller from last week? A choked gurr. He has the mask on, the one with the scary smile. Mommy's screaming. Faintly, through the storm of static, I thought I could hear it. A woman's scream, high and thin and distorted, like a sound being played backwards. I'm sending help, I said, my voice tight. Stay on the line with me. Can you hide? In the closet, he whispered. He's coming up the stairs. I can hear his feet. The line went dead. I dispatched 2 cars this time. I told them it was a repeat call, possibly a hostage situation. I didn't want them to be complacent. They took it seriously. They set up a perimeter. They used a bullhorn. They broke down the front door. The result was the same, an empty house, thick, undisturbed layers of dust on every surface, rotted floorboards, peeling wallpaper, the smell of decay and forgotten things. No footprints, no child, no man in a mask. No sign that a human being had set foot in that house in decades. My supervisor pulled me aside the next morning. He's a large, patient man who has the weary look of someone who's seen it all twice. He told me to drop it. It's a glitch, he said, not meeting my eye. Some kind of cross-chatter from another jurisdiction or a recurring electronic echo. Don't waste county resources on it. If that call comes in again, log it and move on. But I couldn't. The boy's voice, it was too real. The terror in it was primal. You can't fake that. Not even the best actor in the world can fake the sound of a child who thinks his mother is being murdered in the next room. The calls kept coming. Every Tuesday, like clockwork. 2:47 a.m. Each call was a slightly different piece of the same horrible puzzle. He's hurting Daddy now. There's so much red. Mommy, stop screaming. He's looking for me. I can hear him opening doors. Every time I sent a car. Every time the result was the same. The cops got angrier. I was the boy who cried wolf. My supervisor gave me a formal warning. My colleagues started looking at me funny, whispering when I walked by. They thought I was cracking up. Maybe I was. I started losing sleep. On my nights off, I'd find myself staring at the clock, my heart pounding as 2:47 a.m. approached. The silence was somehow worse than the calls. I became obsessed. During the day, instead of sleeping, I went to the county records office. I needed to know who owned that house. The paper trail was a mess. It had been sold and resold, owned by banks and holding companies. But I kept digging backwards through dusty ledgers and brittle property deeds. Finally, I found it. The last family to actually live there. A deed from 1968. A nice, happy family with a mom, a dad, and 2 kids, a boy and a girl. That wasn't enough. I started spending my days in the library's basement, scrolling through decades of local newspapers on a squeaky, ancient microfiche reader. The stale, papery smell of the archives filled my lungs. I was looking for anything related to the house, to that family. For weeks, I found nothing. Just property tax notices and school honor rolls. And then I found it, an article from a cold, late autumn day in 1975. The headline was stark. Local family slain in apparent home invasion. My blood ran cold. I zoomed in, my hands trembling as I adjusted the focus knob. The picture was grainy, black and white. It was the house. The same steep gables, the same wide porch. Police cars were parked haphazardly on the overgrown lawn. I read the article, my heart hammering against my ribs. A husband, a wife, and their 10-year-old daughter found dead in their home. The cause of death was extensive. The article was vague, using phrases like brutal force trauma. The police report mentioned a possible intruder, a figure a neighbor had seen fleeing into the woods, described only as a tall man wearing some kind of pale, expressionless mask. But the last paragraph was what made me stop breathing. The family's 8-year-old son, it read, remains missing. Police found evidence he was hiding in an upstairs closet during the attack, but the boy has not been found. A statewide search is underway. Authorities have not ruled out the possibility that he was abducted by the assailant. The crime was never solved. The masked man was never found. The little boy was never seen again. I sat back in my chair, the library basement, suddenly feeling like a tomb. The static, the whispers, the closet, the man in the mask. It wasn't a prank. It wasn't a glitch. Was I listening to a ghost? The next day at work, I felt broken. I walked into the dispatch center like a zombie. The hum of the server sounded like a funeral dirge. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I had to tell someone. I grabbed my supervisor and one of the oldest dispatchers, a woman who'd been there for 30 years, and I dragged them into the break room. I laid it all out. The calls, the timing, the empty house, the microfiche article. I showed them the copy I'd printed out, the grainy picture of the house, the headline. I expected them to think I was insane. I expected them to tell me to take a leave of absence. They didn't. They just looked at each other. It was a look I'd never seen before, of a grim, tired resignation. My supervisor sighed. a heavy, rattling sound, and rubbed his temples. The older dispatcher, she just stared at the article, her face pale. "So it's started again," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "What do you mean, started again?" I asked, my voice shaking. "What is going on?" My supervisor sat down heavily. "Kid," he said, and he looked 100 years old, "we need to tell you about the man you replaced." He told me the story. The dispatcher who had my seat before me. He'd been a good man, sharp, dedicated. About a year before I was hired, he started getting strange. He was obsessed with a specific address, the old house at the end of the road. He kept sending cars out there, insisting there was a child in trouble. The patrols always came back empty. He started pulling old files, spending his days off at the library. He became withdrawn, paranoid. He claimed he was getting calls no one else could hear. "We checked the logs," my supervisor said, his voice low and serious. "The system never registered the calls he said he was taking. We pulled the audio recorders for his console. There was nothing on them but dead air. We thought he was having a breakdown. Stress of the job." My blood turned to ice water. The system. It doesn't log the calls for me either. They just show up on the screen and then disappear. They don't go into the call history. The older dispatcher nodded slowly. "We know. It's the same. He told us what the calls were about. A little boy, a man in a mask." I felt like I was going to be sick. "What happened to him?" I whispered, though I already knew the answer. "One night," the supervisor continued, his eyes fixed on the linoleum floor, "he took a call. We saw him on the console, talking, his face ashen. He was typing a report, then he just stopped. He stood up, grabbed his jacket and his keys, and walked out without a word. The call was still active on his screen, but none of us could hear anything on it. We just saw the open line." "Where did he go?" "He drove out to the house. His car was found parked on the road the next morning. Engine was cold. Doors were locked. He was gone. The silence in the room was absolute. We searched," the old dispatcher said, her voice cracking. "The police did a grid search of the entire woods. Dogs, helicopters, the whole 9 yards. They went through that house from the attic to the cellar. They found nothing. No sign of a struggle, no footprints, no him. He just vanished, wiped off the face of the earth." I stared at them, my mind struggling to process what they were telling me. Why didn't you warn me?" I stammered. "How could we?" my supervisor shot back, his voice rising with a frustration that had clearly been festering for years. "Hey, new guy, welcome aboard. By the way, this console might be haunted, and the last guy who sat here disappeared. Don't worry about it." "You'd have thought we were crazy. We thought he was crazy. Until you came in here today with that same damn story." He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto mine. "This is what you're going to do. The next time that line rings, you do not answer it. If you answer it by mistake, you hang up immediately. You do not talk to him. You do not engage. You terminate the call and you clear the line. That's an order. Do you understand me?" For the next few weeks, I was a ghost myself. I did my job on autopilot. Every sound, every flicker on the screen made me jump. I dreaded Tuesday nights. I drank so much coffee I could feel my heart rattling in my chest, just to stay sharp, to stay vigilant. I thought about quitting. I thought about just walking out and never coming back. But where would I go? Then, last night, it happened. It was 2:45 a.m. I was staring at the clock, my knuckles white from gripping the edge of my desk. The minutes ticked by like hours. 2:46. My mouth was dry. My heart was a drum solo in my ears. 2:47. The line lit up. The unregistered VOIP. It felt like a physical blow. I flinched back in my chair. My training, my instincts, every fiber of my being screamed at me to answer it. There was a child in trouble. That was the job. But I remembered the pale, haunted face of my supervisor, the story of the man who had vanished. You terminate the call. I let it ring. Once. Twice. The flashing light on the console seemed to sear my retinas. My hand hovered over the button, trembling. I couldn't just ignore it. I had to answer. I had to. I clicked the button. 911, what is your... The static was a roar, louder than it had ever been. It was a physical presence in my ear, a wall of noise. And through it, the boy's voice came, not whispering this time, but screaming. It was a raw, ragged sound of pure agony and terror. "He's got me! He's got me! Please! He's taking me! Please, sir! Don't let him take me! Help me!" The sound ripped through my professional detachment and tore right into my soul. This was it, the climax, the moment the boy was taken, replaying for all eternity. My hand flew to the keyboard to dispatch a car, a purely reflexive action born of years of training. But I stopped. My fingers froze over the keys. He's gone. This already happened. It's not real. The boy was sobbing now, his screams turning into choked, gasping pleas. "Please, you promised, you said you'd send help. Don't leave me." I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I was a 911 dispatcher. My job was to send help, and I was going to sit here and listen to a child be abducted or murdered and do nothing. "I'm sorry," I whispered, my voice thick. "I'm so sorry." I reached for the terminate button on my screen. My finger was a millimeter from the glass. This was it. I was choosing to save myself. I was choosing to let him go. And then the screaming stopped. It wasn't a fade out. It was an abrupt cut, as if a switch had been flipped. The roar of the static dropped to a low, sinister hum. The line was still open. Silence. My heart was in my throat. Did I do it? Then a new sound came through the headset. It wasn't the boy, it was a man's voice. A whisper just as terrified as the child's had been, but older, hoarser. It was distorted by the same underwater static, the same swarm of electronic insects. It was a voice trying to push its way through an impossible distance, through time itself. And it was a voice I felt deep in my bones. I should have recognized from an old staff photo in the hallway. The whisper was faint, but utterly, terrifyingly clear. "He's here." I froze, my finger hovering over the screen. The voice was ragged, desperate, broken. "He sees you. Through the line. He's looking right at you." A cold dread, so absolute and profound it felt like death itself washed over me. I slowly, involuntarily looked up from my console, across the darkened dispatch center towards the plate glass windows that looked out into the night. There was nothing there but the reflection of my own terrified face in the glass, my skin pale in the glow of the monitors. The whispering in my ear continued, a final chilling plea from a place beyond hope. Please, get me out of here. Story 4, I knew this one guy that used to work on my shift. We weren't best buds or anything like that, but last year he got into some major shit for hanging up on a handful of calls. Really bad shit. I don't think the court's even done with him currently. Pretty sure he kissed all his savings goodbye, too. I'll be honest, I never liked this job that much. The shit you have to hear all the way through, the crap you have to take, it's not for everyone, but as long as you're on the job, you fucking do it. It doesn't matter if you feel like it's a prank. It doesn't matter if you think it's not an emergency. You do your fucking part and let the other departments take over when necessary. You do your job, and that's exactly what I did, as I took what would be, unbeknownst to me, my last 911 call. Me. 911, what is your emergency? Caller. Quiet breathing can be heard. Me. This is 911, what is... Caller. Hushed tone. I'd my house. Me. Sir? Sir, can you hear? Caller. Quiet mumbling with few discernible words can be heard. Me. Sir, you're gonna have to speak louder than... Caller. Whispering as loud as he can. So someone's inside my house and... Me. Okay, sir, please remain calm. What's your address? Caller. They're walking on all fours. Me. Sir? Caller. More whispering. Sounds can be heard as the caller seems to walk around for a bit. What the fuck? Me. Sir, have you been injured in any way? Are you hurt? Caller. What? No, listen, there's someone in my house and they Me. Sir, if you're reporting a break-in, I need your address. Caller. No, it's not that. I checked the door and it's fine. The door is fine. Me. Okay? Caller. I don't understand what me. Is there anyone else in the house with you? Family members, friends? Caller. No, I live alone. I don't understand what the... Loud gasp coming from the caller can be heard. Me. Sir? Sir, are you all right? Caller can be heard breathing very slowly. Me. Sir. If you're unable to speak right now for any reason, please give me a sign if possible. Can you tap on your phone a couple of times? Can you do that? 5 seconds go by before a couple of taps are heard coming from the other end. Me. Okay, sir, please remain calm. I am right here with you and I'm not going anywhere, okay? Just stay on the line with me. Another couple of taps follow. Me. Are you armed? There is a brief pause, eventually followed by 3 taps, implied to be a negative response. Me. Okay, are there any weapons in your house? Another 3 taps for no. Me. All right, are you... Caller. I think he's gone, but he saw me, I think. Me. Sir, calm down. I need to know exactly what's going on over there. Caller. Shh, please, I beg you, don't speak so loudly. He might hear you. Me. Okay? Caller. Listen, okay. I woke up, all right. I went to the bathroom, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something moving in the living room, okay? I thought it could have been a robber or something, but the shape, the posture was all wrong, right? Me. Sir, what do you mean? Caller. He's walking around on all fours, just the feet and hands touching the ground. Me. Are you sure? Caller. Yes, I'm sure I fucking saw it, all right? Me. Sir, are you positive this isn't someone you know? Caller. It's not. I can see the door from here and it's still locked, I think. Me. Is this person currently a threat to you? Caller. I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. Me. Can you leave your house? Do you have your keys with you? Caller. No, I tried leaving, but I can't. Me. Okay, what's wrong? Caller. Look, I don't know. Okay. Maybe it's just a bum that got in somehow, but something just feels wrong, man. My gut's telling me something's very wrong here. Maybe I'm fucking losing it. Me. Sir, just listen to me. You're gonna be fine. Keep calm and we'll sort it out together. Okay? Caller. Yeah, okay, yeah. Me. Can you give me your address? Caller. I want to, but shit. I don't know, man. I'm telling you something's wrong here. I don't know what's... Me. Okay, that's okay. I'll figure it out from here. Are you sure you're not hurt? Caller. I'm okay. Me. Where are you right now? Caller. I'm, in the bathroom. I'm taking a peek outside every now and then. Me. Okay, can you tell me where the intruder is? Caller. I think he's... There is a slight pause. A door creaking can be heard. Caller. Yeah, he's still in the live. A crashing sound can be heard, followed by a strange noise. Caller whispering. Jesus fuck. He jumped on the table. What the fuck? Me. Sir, what is it? Caller. Fuck is going on here? Me. Are you safe? Can you describe him to me? Caller. It was only a glance, but I think he's wearing, shit. What's it called? Like a black skin-tight suit, I think. And, me. Okay. Caller. I think there was something on his head, a white thing, me. A mask? Maybe it's a mask. Caller. Yes, I think so, but not over his face. Me. What's that? Caller. It was on the back of his head and it looked like a face, maybe a mask, yeah. Me. Okay, sir, listen to me. Are there any other exits in your house? Caller. Yeah, there's a back door, me. Where? Caller. Through the kitchen. Me. Okay, have you been there? Is it safe? Caller. No, I don't know. Me. Can you try and get there? Caller. I don't really want to move. Me. Okay, that's fine. Caller. No, I'll try, yeah. I can't stay here. Something's wrong. Me. Okay, just keep calm and... Caller can be heard taking a couple of steps and then a loud rolling sound is heard 3 times in a row. Me. Sir? Almost immediately, 3 light taps can be heard coming from the caller's side. I interpreted this as him letting me know that he couldn't speak, but that I should also keep quiet. That's what it felt like to me, and I turned out to be right. I covered my mouth without even realizing it and waited for the caller to say something. After 40-something seconds, the same rolling sound repeated itself a few more times. Caller. What the fuck? Me. Sir, what's... Caller. There's more. Me. Sir, please remain calm. What? Caller. I was heading to the kitchen, but as soon as I stepped out of the bathroom, one of them... Oh my God, I can't. Me. Did they see you? Caller. No, he did a bunch of forward rolls, stopped, and then went into the kitchen area while doing the same thing. Who the fuck are these? Caller is getting very agitated. Me. Okay, sir, forget about the back door. Are you sure there's a second intruder? Caller. I. There is a brief pause, followed by very quiet sobbing. Caller. Sobbing. Oh God. Me. Sir. Calm down. Listen to my voice. Are you positive there's a second intruder? Caller. No, I couldn't tell. Me. Okay, sir, just listen to what I'm saying, okay? I want you to go back and check the main entrance area again, okay? Caller. No, please. I'm afraid they'll... Me. Sir, if there's just one intruder, then this could be your chance to get out, okay? If they went into the kitchen just now, then you can just leave. More sobbing and heavy breathing. Me. Please, sir, you can do it. Just get out of the house right now. Caller. Okay, I'm... Okay. Going. Caller is trying his best to contain his sobs, but they're still audible and he is clearly distressed. Caller. Hushed tone. No. Me. Sir, what's wrong? Caller. He's doing a handstand against the door. Me. Sir? Caller. The door is blocked. I can't. Me. Sir, did they see you? Caller. I don't know what. Me. Okay, sir, caller. Their back is turned to me, but I can't tell if... A loud sound can be heard hitting the floor, followed by a loud gasp coming from the caller. Caller. No, stay back, get back. They see me, Me. Sir? Amidst the commotion, the caller can be heard running and screaming in distress. Other sounds can be heard and could potentially indicate that he was being chased. Caller. Get out, get the fuck out! What the fu... Multiple banging sounds can be heard. It has been determined that the caller had managed to shut himself inside the bathroom. Me. Sir, can you hear me? Caller. Oh my God, what the fuck? What the fuck? Me. Sir, are you okay? Are you hurt? Caller. They bit me. They fucking bit me. Me. Okay, sir, calm. Caller. My fucking fingers, they... Fuck me. Are you hurt? Are you bleeding? Caller. Shh. Caller can be heard panting as the banging sounds end abruptly. Me. Sir, I need you to tell me what's... Caller. I'm fucking bleeding, man. Me. All right. Okay, I need you to stay awake, okay? Listen, my name's Jeremy, all right? Just keep talking to... Caller. I think I'm tired. I'm really tired. Me. I know, sir, they're on their way. Just hang on. Don't try to stand or anything. Just... Caller. Stand? Me. Sir? Caller. Stand? Standing. Why? Why do we... Something can be heard sliding off and falling to the ground, presumed to be the caller due to blood loss. Me. Sir, listen to the sound of my voice. I need you awake, okay? Can you do that for me? Just keep... Caller. Why do we stand, Jeremy? Why do we... walk? Shuffling sounds can be heard. It is presumed that the caller crawled for a bit as he tried not to pass out. Me. Sir, hang on. They're almost... Caller. We shouldn't be standing. We shouldn't be walking. Me. Sir, have you stopped the bleeding somehow? Can you... Caller. I don't want to stand anymore. Yes, I'll crawl from now on. Me. Sir? Sir, please, they're almost... The door of the bathroom can be heard creaking as it's being opened very slowly. Me. Sir? Sir, are you there? What? Caller. No, more walking. Weird shuffling sounds and low guttural noises can be heard. This lasts for almost 10 seconds, after which follows what can only be described as a stampede-like sound, as multiple sources of sound can be heard scramming. Call ends. When you take on this kind of it's almost a guarantee that you'll end up listening to some very unpleasant things. I sure did. Some of these will keep you up at night, while others will brutally awake you from your slumber. Now, regarding this call I transcribed, there was something odd about it. Something about the whole situation being described. It left me feeling rather uneasy and nauseous. When the caller said my name, it sounded like... It's not what he said, but the way he said it. I felt like he knew me, like he knew absolutely everything about me in every possible way. I can't really describe it, but fuck it. I'm nearly done with typing this up, and I don't want to think about it for a long time after I'm done. As if what I just said wasn't enough for me to seriously consider quitting the job for good. The copy of the report I read a couple of weeks after I got the call definitely sealed the deal. I asked my ex-girlfriend to get me the report as a favor, and she was fucking livid. But she did it since she owed me one. Almost wish she didn't. I'm not gonna transcribe the whole thing because there's no need, and I could get into even more trouble. I'll just mention the necessary bits. The front door of the caller's house was wide open when the cops got there. While there was indeed blood inside the bathroom, confirmed to be the caller was nowhere to be found inside the house. His cell phone was found in the bathroom. Strangely, given the amount of blood and potential injury that the caller suffered through an as-of-yet unknown way, no blood was found anywhere else in the house, as if he either stopped bleeding completely or simply vanished. Hundreds of hand and footprints belonging to at least 5 separate individuals were found throughout the house, but so far there's only been a single match, those of the caller. The caller's hand and footprints were found outside of the bathroom, all the way to the front door before stopping completely. No hand and footprints were found anywhere else outside of the caller's home. You make what you want out of this. Me? I'm so fucking done. You know what they say about your gut feeling, right? For the love of God, people, always remember to have some fucking common sense. If you feel like something's wrong, if you feel like something's definitely not right, make sure to take appropriate measures as if your life depended on it. I didn't like how the caller said my name. I didn't like how it made me feel. And I definitely didn't like what I read on that report, so I quit my job. That, and I'm also moving out of the country. Permanently. I'm sorry I couldn't help him, but there's no way I'll wait around hoping he doesn't show up somehow in the middle of the night, crawling in my fucking house. Story 5. As bad as it sounds, you really start to go numb to it. You must. If you allow yourself to be too invested, the calls you'll hear during a shift will make you clutch your chest. I imagine those who work at the suicide prevention hotline could sympathize. The things people tell you, the things they experience on the other side of the line can be so gut-wrenching. The worst part is that you just never know when it's going to happen, when one of those calls will slip through the lines and transfer to you. You could go your entire shift hearing mundane reports of a small kitchen fire or a missing cat, and right at the end of your shift, there it is. A call you pick up mid-domestic dispute, someone crying over the body of a loved one. It's rare for most people to hear a truly agonizing cry more than a few times in their lifetime, but as a 911 operator, you're exposed to it on a weekly basis. That guttural and messy cry, the complete breakdown of a human being like their outline, was plucked from the edges and they just melted away. A cry of candle wax, of complete release. Something so primal it takes you back to watching shadows on the cave walls. And comparatively, those are some of the easier calls. It's when someone is in active distress, a situation that had you tied to the phone's receiver, trying to find a way to help, anything at all. When time is of great importance, and it's just you and the call and there's nothing you can physically do, those will keep you up if you take them home. Those will hurt you. I took the job because, funny enough, I wanted to be a therapist. My dad worked the beat, though, and always had me joining the same precinct in mind. Being a 911 operator was the best middle ground the two of us could find. I thought I could make a difference. If I really, truly cared about the people on the other line, I could save them. And I could. I'm sure my quick thinking and gentle responses were enough to save more lives than I would have if I had done nothing. But that means there are ones I couldn't save. And with each of those, each person who slipped through my fingers, I felt myself being chipped away. I was a wall of old paint, and every tragedy would step up to me with shaking hands, and it'd pluck another chip away from me. Over time, I felt that soothing tone in my voice being pulled out of my throat. My investment in the people I was trying to help dwindled with each news report that I could have stopped. And before I knew it, before it mattered anymore, I was just another operator. Some droning and beaten-down voice that everyone else had. And then he called. Of all people, he got me. Of course he got me. Shifts were unpredictable. You never knew when something was going to go south. But the day was primarily normal. I'd even venture to say I was in a good mood, happy that I didn't have to talk anyone down. I had just finished a phone call with my wife during my break when I noticed the incoming call light up. As I cleared my throat and placed the headset over my ears, I could feel the cool metal against my skin as my fingers pressed down on the button. And suddenly, the line chimed to life. Immediately, heavy breathing greeted me. Hello, you have reached 911. How may I assist you? I spoke the same robotic line I had uttered 1,000 times before. The line fell into a momentary silence, interrupted only by the sound of heavy breathing. Just as I was about to repeat myself, a male voice broke the silence. He's trying to get in, the man whispered. I could almost hear his lips shaking through the words. I could visualize his back, pressed up against the wall with his phone glued to the side of his face. I took a moment and rifled through my catalog of canned responses. And again, before I could ask, he spoke. I don't know who it is. I didn't see his face. Okay, well, just stay calm. Are you hidden right now? I could hear his breath. If I could hear it, then someone else might as well. I needed information, but I needed him to slow down. People act stupid when they panic. Few things are worse than trying to control a call when someone is frantic. Yes, I think so. I'm in a closet, he whispered again. People always make their way to the closet. I was in the middle of thinking how silly it was. If I was an intruder, that would be the first place I'd look. Can you? I need to move, though. I think he'll look here. When he cut me off, I felt a sense of frustration. Not specifically because he interrupted me. That's something you'll have to get used to. It was that. My thoughts kept getting plucked from me. If he's not inside yet, that might be a good idea. I replied to him. I remembered the small crawl space I had in my bedroom. The door was behind the dresser because we rarely use it. If you have a crawl space or something more hidden, I was grateful that he didn't interrupt me again. I could tell he was already on the move. The dresser was standing on 4 legs. So if you were inside the crawl space and reached out with your elbow bent, theoretically you'd be able to move the dresser in front of the crawl space again. What's your address? So we can dispatch a car. My voice was smooth coming out, but I could hear him moving on the other line. The rustling of fabric and the distant creaking of old wooden floors under his weight. Then there was a heavy dragging sound, wood scraping up against wood. After the sound rang out again, but lower, I heard his breathing return to the phone. Okay, I'm safe. I hidden in a crawl space. My dresser is in front of it. I think I'm okay. His words hadn't registered with me yet. I didn't have time to process them before a hint of pain pulled my attention to the palm of my hand. I noticed a thin red line drawn on me, and small beads of blood were slipping out where the line was thick enough. Shit, the man spat out from the other side of his phone. Is he inside? I replied urgently. No, I sliced my hand open, moving the dresser. It was cold. The headset covering my ears felt like they had been sitting in the refrigerator overnight. I stared for a moment at the injury on my hand. It was an implausible thought, but one I was having. Sir, what's your address? Those words were the most human I had felt as an operator in God knows how long. He replied. Each number that came out of his mouth made me feel like I was watching the lottery, making sure that the numbers on my ticket line up with the ones on screen. It was dizzying, like I was high up looking down, watching the clouds roll by hundreds of feet below. Then the street name, the final gut punched. There's no need to build it up more than I already have, no need for the suspense to tighten any further. It was implausible. Hearing my address repeated back to me, whispered from a man in danger, was enough to make my head split open. I looked around the office, hoping that I'd see someone eyeing me, maybe some giggling coming from the break room. Then my vision returned to the cut on my hand, the beads becoming flatter, running along the lines in my skin. Whispering back the address he had given me, the man on the phone confirmed I had it right. But I wasn't repeating it for his sake. I wanted to hear how it sounded coming out of my mouth when I whispered it. I normally can't stand the sound of my voice. Most people can't, so it's not like I'd recognize it if I heard it coming from anywhere other than my mouth. Except for that call, whispering the address, it sounded the same. It took me way too long, but I finally escaped my stupor and could report the breaking and entering that was occurring at my house. It felt strange, even giving the information out, like my house was some dirty little secret. Even if it was some elaborate prank, I'd still want someone to go to my house and make sure everything was copacetic. The whole time, the guy's small whimpers here and there made it feel like my thoughts were made audible. All the slight irks of frustration that normally stayed in my head were manifesting from the other end of the phone. The more I heard his voice, the more I heard myself. Every time I banged my toe on something, every scoff that was created from some off comment I heard in public, every time I picked up something just a little too heavy, my fucking voice to the T. Oh my God, I heard my voice, but it was him talking. He's in the room. I must have been too far in my head and had missed what the guy had said previously. My initial belief was that the perpetrator was stuck outside the home. Just stay quiet. You're safe unless you make too much noise. The line went quiet, both of us trying to keep our breathing silent. The previous owners wanted to keep the hardwood that the room had when the house was built, so the floor in my bedroom is old, something about it being sentimental. So whenever me or my wife climbed out of bed, it would creak and whine. Luckily, we're both heavy sleepers. Sure enough, the intruder was in the room. It was faint but distinguished against the silence, heavy boots pressing down on the old hardwood. If I was in the crawl space, I'd be able to tell where in the room the man was. But the creaking only lasted for a moment before stopping, before whoever was in the room stopped. It felt like an eternity, so much so that I was surprised the cops hadn't arrived yet, though it was an awfully busy day. Then my heart sank, as I'm sure the doppelgangers did too. We both recognized the sharp grating of wood against wood. That heavy dresser was being moved. No way, no way, my copy uttered to himself. How'd he know? The sound of the dresser being dragged nearly muffled my copy's voice. Our hearts were likely beating in rapid succession in unison. Listen to me. I sat up, pulling the mic close to my mouth. As soon as the dresser stops being moved, the very second, you need to make a break for it. I mentally ran through my home, imagining myself in his shoes. Or my shoes, I guess. I thought about how I could leave the house the fastest. The dragging stopped, and he went. He expected a plume of air that nearly ruptured my ears. I imagined myself shooting out of the crawl space, using the space as best as I could to gain speed. 3 heavy steps, that's all I heard before an ear-shattering ping rang out. Then there was screaming. The screaming plunged into my ears. My hand rested over my mouth, teeth clenching down on the palm, skin starting to taste like iron. My chest was hot. I felt like I was ready to vomit, but some force was keeping the bile in my chest. My leg was rupturing with agony. The right calf was like the epicenter of an explosion. My body shook and tears rolled from my eyes. In the room, surrounded by coworkers, completely safe, I felt a gunshot wound and I sensed my pant leg getting wet. The copy didn't need to contain his anguish, though. The phone had gotten discarded when he fell. His screams were distant. Desperate and pleading, he said things I'd never thought I would hear myself say. He begged, like I never thought I would have to. I think I could feel the dread in his heart, deeper than anything I've ever known. My heart had dropped off some great cliff in the ocean, the pressure building up with every foot it dropped until I felt like my heart was being squeezed in a vice. My breathing was shallow. I noticed some of the people around me had looked at me. "What the hell?" My copy screamed, loud enough to sound like the phone was still right next to his mouth. He repeated it over and over, begging for an explanation. The cops should have almost been there. I wanted to know what had him so puzzled, and, for the last time, my thoughts manifested through his voice. "It's me!" he screamed, a painful, confused cry. "He looks just like me!" I then heard him say, "Goodbye." But I don't think it was him. It was me, another me. My voice. Then another. Ping. And like my leg before, for a very moment, my head went a bright white with agony. It was only a flash, a memory in real time. That was enough. I couldn't contain it any more and let out a guttural howl. The howl I imagined would come from the doppelganger's lips, were he able to use them. Everyone around me stood. Some started coming over to me to check on me. However, I remained glued to my seat, numb to everything except what was happening on the other end of the phone, where I expected to hear the death throes of my doppelganger, maybe the spitting of blood or the shaking of his dying body. Instead, I heard a static, a fizzing out, like a million bubbles all popping in my ear. It wasn't the phone having some malfunction. I could hear it happening on the other end of the phone. In my house, my copy was dissolving, I think. I don't know. It's my best guess, the only one I got. It lined up with the artifacts of our shared experience. I could see it. Pricks of blue and green light popped in and out of existence on the palm of my hand until the cut I had sustained was gone. Moving my leg, I could tell the same thing had happened to the bullet wound. I must have looked like a wreck. People were trying to get my attention. Someone was grabbing the hand I was using to keep my headset on. I heard someone taking the phone and lifting it up to their face. The speaker was being pulled away, but I still heard him. He too sounded like me, though his words, the only ones he spoke, were deep and angry. From there, someone pulled me away from the desk. I was sweating. They thought I was having a heart attack or something. Paramedics were called. It all happened fast. I remember being thankful that me and my wife work similar shifts, ultimately just wanting to know what the scene was at my house. Everything in the house looked like I imagined it. Even though I expected the front door to be smashed in, it wasn't. Cops told me it was unlocked, but someone had moved the dresser and left the crawl space door wide open. When the cops were gone and work gave me a leave for mental health, I eventually got around to looking in the crawl space. It was there, clear as day. I didn't tell anyone, though, certainly not my wife. In the crawl space, I could clearly see where someone had wiped away the dust. The thick layer of dust outlined the shape of someone sitting and the scuffs of someone quickly pushing off. It's been a week. Every night I wait, unable to sleep. I don't get it. I don't understand any of it. They didn't find any blood. Nothing. How was another me living in my house? I've spent all week thinking of what would normally be crazy ideas, but all of them leave me with the same question. Why hasn't he gotten to me yet? He knows where I live, and I know he's coming for me. That I am. Before they pulled the headset from me, he spoke loud and firm. That's one down. Story 6. It's kind of a running joke in my office that I always get the weirdest calls, and it's true. One of the more interesting ones I got was from a drunk guy who meant to call the cops and was trying to file a noise complaint about his own party. While some of my calls can be pretty strange, they're usually fairly tame. I've been pretty lucky because I haven't had too many disturbing or sad stories to tell from my years working as a 911 operator. If you're looking for something like that, I can point you to several of my colleagues because unfortunately, there's no shortage of those in this industry. The call that particularly sticks in my mind is one that I had about a year or two ago. I can honestly say that it's one of the most frightening experiences of my entire life, and think it's going to stick with me forever. It had actually been a fairly slow afternoon that day. I know it sounds kind of insensitive, but if you're not taking a call, this job can get pretty boring. I got stuck covering my friend's evening shift, and I didn't expect things to get more interesting. I was counting down the minutes until my shift ended when a call came through my line. I put the headset on and ran through the usual script. 911, what is your emergency? I asked. I think there's someone in my house. The voice sounded like it belonged to a young child. My heart sank. Calls from children were always the worst. We're trained to get as much information from each caller as possible. This makes it easier to more fully understand the situation, as well as figure out which emergency services we need to dispatch. What's your name, sweetie? I kept my voice calm and upbeat. There was no need in scaring them any further than they undoubtedly already were. Elizabeth, she said softly. I think she might have been crying. That's a beautiful name. Mine's Amelia. Even though I didn't show it, I was beginning to get nervous. This is very important. Can you tell me what's happening right now? The line was quiet for a moment, but then Elizabeth started talking. I think someone's in my house. Where are you parents? I asked. They're not home. I'm not sure where they are. I was pretty angry when I heard this. What kind of parents leave a little girl home alone this late at night? Is there anyone else there with you? Yeah, I think they're looking for me, Elizabeth began, but her voice abruptly stopped at the very end of her sentence. Had it not been for her quiet, frightened breaths, I would have thought she, or whoever else was there, hung up. They said my name. She was definitely crying now. Where are you right now? I heard a door close. In my parents' closet. She spoke a little louder now, probably thinking that the intruder wouldn't be able to hear her from in there. I hoped she was right. I was glad that she knew to hide. A lot of kids freeze up in dangerous situations like this, especially if their parents or an older sibling aren't there. I asked her for her address, which she gave to me, but for the sake of privacy, I will only say that Elizabeth's house was in a fairly nice neighborhood in my area, and it wasn't far from the police station, which was very helpful. Elizabeth, just focus on my voice. I need you to try and relax. I'm sending the police to your house right now, and they should be there in about 5 minutes. Can you hold on until then? Even though I would usually try to get a little more information about the intruder, I always tend to err on the side of caution when children call 911. I'd much rather send someone and have it be a false alarm than risk their safety. Elizabeth did not answer my question, and it took her longer than I was comfortable with to respond. When she did, it was only one word. Listen. I heard the phone crackle as she brought it away from her ear and held it out in front of her. At first, I didn't hear anything, but as I focused on the background noise, I noticed a lot of whispering. I couldn't tell what they were saying, but it definitely sounded like it was coming from more than one person. I hoped the police would get there on time. As much as I help people with my job and as many lives as I've saved, it is always so frustrating that I can't do anything myself other than wait and talk. Elizabeth's voice came out in hushed sobs. He's coming up here. Please help. The police are almost there. I need you to be quiet so he doesn't hear you. You're going to be okay, sweetie. I promise. She seemed to calm down a bit. Everything was quiet for a moment, save for the whispering, which was much louder now. I still didn't know what they were saying, but I was sure it was coming from multiple people. I could pick out at least 3 distinct voices. When I heard a door creak open through the phone, my heart leapt. Elizabeth screamed, and I knew that the intruders had found her. I was so scared for her, and I desperately hoped that someone would be there to help soon. Are you okay? I need you to tell me what's going on. I was trying and failing to stop my voice from cracking. I couldn't let her know that I was afraid. There's a man, Elizabeth whispered. He has really long legs and a really big smile. My imagination was running away from me. Whoa. I pictured this poor girl alone in the closet as an impossibly tall man towered over her. I heard another bang coming from somewhere in the house and someone yelling, "Police!" Thank God. I could hear Elizabeth crying as the whispers intensified. I still didn't understand how she only saw one person. There had to have been more than 4. He isn't touching the floor. The line cut off. I frantically tried to re-establish the connection, but no matter how many times I tried, I was met with only silence on the other end. I would like to close with a message to any parents reading this. Please, please don't leave your young children home by themselves. I haven't heard anything about Elizabeth or her family in the year since this happened. The police only found the phone.